this is just another little tip about trying to save time and design in a better way for your 3D printer to give a better result. So what I've got is I've got this little sort of crank key with a square keyway in it, and it fits over this, and basically these things turn together. Now when I first printed this, it was a little bit tight, and that's because I essentially made this exactly the same from beginning to end, this square cutout. So if I look at the CAD, what you'll notice is that when we zoom into this and have a look, is that essentially what's happened is that the 3D printer, when it squirts the plastic out, the first layer tends to sort of splay out and get sort of spread out, so it's almost like over extruding. So as much as you can basically reduce this to zero, the downside is you end up having issues with it not quite sticking to the bed. So I tend to tolerate the fact that it wants to over extrude in order to get good adhesion, because then my prints won't fail and come off the board. But the downside is it means I basically get a sort of a choking as this tightens in for that first layer. So what I do in the CAD is I basically add a 45-degree chamfer of roughly about the layer height, so about 0.5, which takes into consideration even the coarsest 0.32 layer height for the 0.6 nozzle. And what that means is that it's pulled away from the side, so that even when it over extrudes, it basically ends up being exactly the right end result, so I don't even have much sanding to do to finish off the part. So I've done that on any of the other parts where I feel like the tolerance is really critical. So for example, this, it's almost imperceivable to the eye, but this has a 0.5 chamfer all the way around it, which basically just takes care of that and stops it having an annoying little over extrude here, which then I'd have to cut with a scalpel, and I'd have to do that very accurately because it's going to have a screen behind it, and that's exactly the sort of thing that even with, you know, a lot of experience of using scalpels over the years, it's just, you still mess up something and visually it becomes irritating. Whereas with this, I've got a nice crisp edge that is hot off the printer and looks perfect first time. So yeah, the tip is any small holes, inserts or things that you know are ultimately going to end up being high tolerance, recommend putting a little chamfer in just to make sure that it works perfectly first time.